So we're going to start this tight back, tight hip sequence, which is really good for runners, by the way, or anyone that does a lot of desk work, by just checking in, and when you've done your soma scan, noticing how it is to lie flat, and gently bring both knees up so that the feet are in the floor. The back is nice and supported. And let's begin with some arch and flatten. So as you inhale, gently roll that pelvis down the mat. And as you exhale, let the pelvis roll up the mat so that we are lengthening between the abdominal muscles and the lower back muscles. Feeling the synergy between them. Feeling how the lower half of the back connects up to the upper half of the back as the neck joins in. And as you arch, the chin drops. As you exhale, the chin lifts. Feel that whole lovely undulation of the spine. Then bringing it back to neutral, relax the legs down, lengthen out for a minute. Have a quick check-in, see how it feels. Before we bend the knees back up and gently roll onto your tummy. However is the easiest way to get there. We're going to go into our back muscles. So I'm starting on the left side. You can start where you want, but lying on your belly, have your left elbow out to the side and very gently, palm down, let that elbow lift as you take a breath in, and you want to connect with the upper trap. So that's the very top of the shoulder. We don't want to be in the rhomboid, pulling the shoulder back to the spine. You want to lengthen the rhomboid and the shoulder blade out so that all the tension is at the top of the shoulder, where you would squeeze or hunch your shoulders up to your ear. And then let the elbow come down to the floor and let it sink and relax before you repeat and do it again. Each time the elbow lifts, try and get the contraction and the squeeze to happen right at the top of the shoulders. And every time the elbow comes down, melt it away. Next, want to notice that as we breathe, the belly gently pushes into the floor. And as we exhale, the belly ever so slightly loses some contact with the floor. It's not dramatic, but notice the breath. When you're ready, we're going to take a breath in. And as you inhale, lift the head, just the head, look over your shoulder, and then breathe the head down, let it melt. The belly and the breathing is really important here. I'm working on my left shoulder, so as I inhale, I look up and look over my left shoulder, and the belly's nice and soft. The power is coming from the rhomboid muscle as the shoulder blade moves, and it lets the head and neck lift. If you were to tighten the belly as you did this, it would pull you back down to the floor and it wouldn't feel too nice. So just make sure that belly stays nice and soft as the head lifts to look over your shoulder. Next, we're going to take our hand underneath the cheek. My left hand is going underneath my cheek. I'm looking at my left elbow. If this is too much, you can go back to the hand out. But if you're okay, take a breath in and lift head, hand and elbow at the same time. And start to notice that more of those upper back muscles squeeze and they begin to twist over, tensing into the opposite waist and down the opposite leg. You might find that the opposite glute and leg wants to lift and help you out. Keep it quiet for now. Just notice the pattern. Taking a breath, lift, keeping the belly soft, allowing the back muscles to power this movement. And when you come down to the floor, completely melt and let go. Now we're going to take some awareness into that opposite leg. So I'm going to lift my right leg. Notice the right glute into the right hamstring. As the leg lowers, turn it to jelly. Let it all switch off. If you're not sure and your other leg is joining in a little bit, let your hips tip side to side so that next time you lift that right leg, you'll be able to do so from a more neutral point. Let everything unsqueeze as you come back down to the floor. Each time melting and letting go after the leg lifts and you've felt the contraction from the lower back down to the Achilles. And then let's maybe think about putting those two halves of the movement together. So as you take a breath in, lift head, hand and elbow on the left side as well as the right leg. keeping the tummy nice and soft, feeling that cross-lateral contraction as the back powers the lift and the front of the body lengthens out. Be sure to melt everything and let go every time you come down to the floor. We're going to do one more lift. 3 is plenty for this. Before we relax, sink and let go. And roll into center with the head. And maybe even roll onto your back to notice how that feels. The side you've just pandiculated, how does that connect with the floor compared to the side that you haven't yet moved? Feel that diagonal pattern. When you're ready, roll back onto your tummy. I'm now going to do my right arm, shoulder, upper back. So with my head turned to the right, my right palm is rested on the floor, fingertips in line with the nose. I'm just going to gently lift on the inhale breath, the right elbow so that I squeeze into the upper trap and the rhomboid muscles nice and long. Take a breath. Try it again. Remember, you don't want to squeeze towards the spine. You want the front of the shoulder to roll forward and the top of the shoulder to squeeze up as like a shrug would happen. Each time the elbow comes back down to the floor, completely melt, rest, sink and let go. That's where the magic happens in somatics, in the release. Next breath, lift the head, look over the right shoulder. When the head comes back down to the floor, sink, rest everything. Remember to keep a nice long tummy, and now you are going into that rhomboid muscle behind the shoulder blade. The neck will be involved, but it won't be overpowering the movement. All the lifting is coming from the upper back. Belly soft, and each time you come back down to the floor, we want to melt and let go. Now taking the hand underneath the cheek if you want. The option is to keep your hand where it was. If you're taking the hand underneath the cheek, take a nice breath in, lift, head, hand and elbow. Start to feel the twist you're creating so that the contraction is coming from the upper right back over and across to the left waist, and you'll probably start to feel the left glute and the left leg trying to help out and squeeze with the movement. So let's let that left leg join in. Keep the upper body silent for a moment and just see how the lower half organizes the movement. Lift in the leg, feel the squeeze in the glute down the hamstring. Lower the leg, let it melt. Nice and easy. Make sure you melt every time you relax and let go. Now let's think about putting the two halves of that movement together as we lift the upper body on the right side and that left leg together, creating that lovely cross-lateral squeeze. It's almost like we're walking backwards the way we organize this movement. Notice if the pattern on this side is easier or harder to do. It often tells you a lot about where you're carrying your tension if it's harder. And then when you've done about 3, we're going to relax. We're going to melt. Let go. Roll back onto your back and check in, see how that feels. How does your opposite diagonal feel this time against the floor? So for every back lift, we want to lengthen those back muscles back out again. So we're going to bend the knees up, place the feet into the floor, and I'm going to tip my right knee towards my chest, lifting the foot away from the mat, and take my left hand behind the head. It's important to remember this is not a sit-up. So we're going to gently begin to arch as we breathe. And as that happens, the left knee is going to try and escape your hand. and your head's going to press into your hand. And then as we exhale and we curl, we lift the head and we take the elbow across to the opposite knee. Don't over pull your knee into the chest. You want to just softly guide it and coax it towards the chest. Let's try that again. As we inhale and arch, we reconnect with those back muscles. We let them contract so that as we exhale, we sink the belly, feel the knee draw towards the chest. But as we lift the opposite head and elbow, that shoulder really scoops out the back and finds length. We're creating a cross-lateral curl, a cross-lateral fetal curl. Let's try it one more time. Inhale and arch. As we exhale, curl the head up, send the elbow over. Feel the lengthening that you're creating across the back. Before we melt it down, relax, lengthen out, and notice how that side of the body that's just curled feels compared to the side that hasn't yet done the lengthening. When you're ready, bend the knees back up. Let's take hold of the left knee this time and put the right hand behind the head. As we inhale and arch, feel the head press into the palm. Feel the left knee escape. As we exhale, curl it up. The knee just gently coaxes towards the chest. It's the right shoulder scooping out of the back, sending the elbow across. That is where all the lengthening happens. Be gentle. Remember, we're not sitting up. We're not training our abdominal muscles to strengthen. We're trying to feel the front of the body contract so we can release. And we're trying to feel the back of the body completely lengthen out and find more space. Let's try that one more time. Inhale and arch. On the exhale, let the left knee float to the chest. Lift the head. Scoop the right elbow over to the knee. Feel the shoulder come out the back. Before we inhale, relax down. Exhale, melt. Lengthen out, check in. How does that feel? Last movement is to help to loosen the hips out. So bending the knees up. We're going to notice that we can then lengthen our left leg back down. So what we're left with is just a bent right knee. We're going to begin by tipping the right knee out to the right, and you'll find that you get some length through the inner right thigh. Bring the knee back up. Let that happen a few times. Just see how it feels to let that knee float out to the floor and then picking it back up. Is there a big range of movement or is it more limited? Next time the right knee comes out to the floor, notice that if you wanted to get it closer down, you'd have to lift that left hip off the floor, maybe even rolling the left leg inwards towards the right foot. Let that happen and then pick the right knee back up before you try it again. Let the knee float out down to the right. Let the left hip roll off the floor and maybe even turn your head towards the left shoulder. Try it again. Notice how that feels. Can you feel the twisting and the tipping of the pelvis to let that right knee move out more? Next time we do it, and your head's to the left, your right knee is out, your left hip is lifted, try and scoop up that right foot so that it's almost like a seesaw effect. The right knee drops further to the floor, the right foot lifts to the ceiling, and you'll create a contraction along the inside of the right leg. Relax, let the knee lift. Before we try it again, as the right knee tips out and the left hip lifts, let that right foot lift to the ceiling, creating tension along the inner thigh. Next time you come up, let's rest there. Let's try going over to the left with the right knee. It's going to tip over to that left thigh and your right hip automatically lifts. But now we'll feel lengthening through that right outer thigh. So let that happen a few times. We're working with the adductor and abductor muscles here. So next time the right knee goes over to the left leg, maybe notice that the right waist is joining in, it's lengthening out. So maybe explore this by putting your right hand on the outside of the right thigh, and next time the knee goes over to the left, lift the right foot. So tip the right knee down, scoop the ankle towards the ceiling, and notice that you will create tension along the outside of the thigh. Let your head turn to the right as you do this. Feel the twist. Notice that in order for the knee to move, all the movement has to come from the center of the body. Let's see what it would be like to tip between the two. So let the right knee tip out to the right, lift the foot. Let the right knee tip over to the left, lift the foot. Always turning the head to look away from the knee and allowing the pelvis to twist and turn with the movement. So as the knee's out to the right, the left hip lifts. As the knee's out to the left, the right hip lifts. Lengthen out when you're finished. Reach that right leg a little bit longer than the left and then relax. Bend the knee back up. Try it again. Take the knee across to the left. Lift the foot. Take the knee out to the right. Each time relaxing and lengthening the leg down. Reaching the heel past the opposite leg so that you can really lengthen through the psoas muscle. You can tip the knee to either side before doing a little psoas release, or you can do it in between each direction. It's entirely up to you. This is your movement to play with. But each time the knee tips over, make sure you melt the muscles back to neutral as the knee returns back to neutral itself. When you've done about 3 to each side, completely lengthen out and check in. See how that feels. Let's try it with the opposite knee. Bend the left knee up and let it tip out to the left. Noticing how the pelvis moves on this side. It may be tighter, but it may also be looser. So just see how it feels for you. And next time the knee goes out to the left, let the right hip lift, allowing the knee to go further down to the floor. And letting the head turn to the right, always looking away from the knee. Notice the tension on the inner thigh, as this time you may add the foot lift in. Left knee out to the left, right hip rolls up, left foot lifts and scoops to the ceiling. Tension on the adductor muscle of the left leg. Next time the foot comes up and the knee's back to neutral, try tipping the knee to the right, head to the left. Left hip automatically lifts, so see what it would be like to add that foot lift in this time, as if the left ankle bone was lifting to the ceiling and the left knee was dropping down and over to the right. Feel the tension on the abductor muscle on the outside of the thigh, returning to neutral each time you relax the foot and the knee back to center. Is this side easier or harder? Feel the movement. Letting the leg now begin to reach long so that you can lengthen out the psoas muscle before bending the knee back up, tipping the knee out in the opposite direction. Let the knee fall out to the left, let the foot scoop up. You can reach the leg long, lengthen out the leg to lengthen out the psoas before you bend the knee back up and send the knee over to the right. Or you can go to each side first before lengthening out that psoas. This movement is yours to play with. What we're trying to create here is a release of tension through those thigh muscles. They can often help hold the pelvis hostage if they're really tight, especially if you are a runner or someone who's very active on their legs. If you sit a lot all day, you might find you squeeze into one set of these muscles in particular. And so this movement just helps to soften out the pelvis and get that nice twist back into the body. When you've finished, lengthen out and have one last check-in before you can stand up and feel how you've just pandiculated your body.